Sometimes being an empath feels like a mix of blessings and struggles. We have this incredible gift to feel so deeply. That same sensitivity can make it hard to keep our own inner peace intact. Have you ever wondered, why am I absorbing everyone else's energy when all I want to feel is my own joy and strength? Today, we're diving into what it means to live as an empowered empath, embracing our ability to follow our intuition, to set empath boundaries, and connect with our inner trust and freedom.
Welcome to our channel. I'm Rain, with over 20 years of experience as an NLP practitioner, light worker, and channeler through divine inspiration, here to help you connect with your true self.
And I'm Mel, an empath, light worker, and connector, passionate about guiding you to set boundaries and thrive.
Together, we bring you weekly tools and insights to support your empath journey.
If you're ready to deepen your connection with self, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Let's dive in. So I wanted to share a story. I recently went to a concert with my husband, and we were dancing and we were feeling it and having a really good time. I was feeling the music, and this tall woman came just barging in, pushing over me, ran into me pretty hard, and stopped right in front of me. And she was a couple heads taller than me, and I couldn't see the stage. I couldn't see anything. And she was just really rude and abrasive how she did it, and didn't say excuse me or anything. And I just instantly, my energy just dropped. And I just like that good feeling just went away. And I was just like really upset, and I felt hurt, and I felt, this was just really rude, and I would never do something like that. And so I sat there in this funky energy, just not enjoying the concert. And then finally I just realized, like, okay, for me to be able to get back and like protect myself, I really wanted to be up front ahead of her. And so I moved in front of her, and then I started to like be able to be in my space again, and I felt really good, and that I protected myself, and I didn't let this person just steamroll and push over me. I don't know if that's something that you can relate to. If you'll be in like a really good space, and then all of a sudden someone will do something, and you'll completely drop and lose your energy and feeling good. So as an empath, learning to protect your heart and energy is essential. Today, Rain is going to be channeling about tapping into that inner trust and discovering how to stand strong in your sensitivity and finding your way to inner freedom for you. If you're ready to become an empowered empath who uses their sensitivity as a true superpower, this is for you. So, Rain, how do we stay longer in that good feeling without taking on the frustration or the anger that isn't ours?
A lot of the frustration and anger that we assume isn't ours, a small percentage of it actually exists within us. So if we can understand that this experience, like your experience with that woman and her hitting you, we could take that example. So I'm seeing like she's hitting that part of you out of you, because you're more able to allow that experience to float out of you when you are in that ecstatic state of joy. Because you have a huge comparison now. You can compare that ecstatic state to a state that is way below the state that you're in. So one of the things is it's a reminder that, oh, she's in a really good place. She's tuned in, she's tapped in, she's with source, she's feeling all the good feelings. We can easily allow her to release that frustration. The coolest part about that feeling is there's a sense of empowerment that comes in. If you think about it, if you would have felt that frustration and that anger when you were in a bad place, it would have just gunked you down even more. It wouldn't have allowed you to see how powerful you actually truly are by taking a stand and not being like, well, I'm an empath, I should be kinder, I should be sweeter, because you're in a lower energy vibration. But it was a teaching lesson to you or to any empath going through this, where it's like, I am so high vibe, something so low vibe happened. And the anger of the discrepancy between those two extreme levels allowed you, for the first time, maybe you've done it before, but for the first time, to powerfully take a decision that honored your well-being. You're like, no, that high vibe is where I want to stay. So this is how energies are released from our systems as light workers. There's also another beautiful thing that is happening, is that You felt her frustration also. We cannot feel somebody else's anger and frustration unless some of it resides within us and is dormant. So you were feeling hers. So hers plus that little tiny bit you have inside just allowed it to explode. And you took a stand. So that is how when our brain understands what's happening, we are able to stay longer in that state and know that right now I've been triggered to learn a new lesson that, oh, I can do this, and that's okay. So that was kind of the energy that I'm seeing that took place in that moment. It's to free you.
Yeah. And it was interesting because there's been a lot of times in the past where I'd be in a situation like that. And I would just be the nice girl, the good girl. And so the person would come barging in. And it's just like, I would just stand there. And literally the whole time, it would have sucked like the rest of the concert. It would have been so hard for me to get out of that space of just feeling victimized and feeling hurt. And there's mean people. Like that's the energy space I was in, honestly, the whole time until I realized no, I actually want to go back in my spot. Like she thinks she can just steamroller me and I'm just going to put up with it. I'm like, no, I'm going to do the same thing she did. I'm going to go right in front of her. I grabbed my husband. I ran around her, nudged her out of the way, and I stood there and I had my little window. And it was interesting that when I did that, I didn't feel like a mean person. I didn't feel cruel. It was like, no, this is me protecting me. I would have never done this to anyone else. I would have been like, hey, like, are you okay if I come here? Is there a room here? Like, I would have been thoughtful about it. But the way that she did it was like, no, I'm not going to put up with that. And I actually felt really good. I felt like I'm protecting me. And guess what? The rest of the concert, I felt so good. And finally, like, at first we were like pushing elbows. Like, I'm standing my ground. Like, no, you are not steamrollering me. And it felt so good. And it was annoying that she was there. And I'm just like, well, I'm standing my ground. You don't get a steamroller me. And it was really cool. It was really empowering. And then finally she scooted over and she left. And when her energy was away from me, from us touching elbows, I really just felt so good. And it was empowering. And I was able to enjoy the concert and close my eyes and feel the music. And literally I was like feeling like electricity in my hands. I felt so powerful. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really enjoying this moment and being present. It just felt incredible. It was a really cool experience. And I'm glad I gave myself that gift of protection.
So that's the coolest thing. It's not protection. It's you became the empowered empath. That was the moment. So it's like just think of it as divinity, your guides, your angels, whatever, wanted you to experience yourself as a powerful empath. That you're like, there was a high vibe. I could taste it. I was feeling it. I was in it. I was the high vibe. And it got taken away in a blink of an eye. I want it back. And nothing's going to stop me from having it back. And that is the most powerful thing, Mel, most powerful thing to experience, because now it's a memory in your body. People don't have to be as pushy as she was, right? To give yourself the blessing of you for you. Like the next time this happens, there's a new memory in your system now, right? You've locked in a new sensation of like, oh no, I bet you anything that the time, the euphoria you felt before she came and the euphoria you felt after you did it, this second one felt even nicer than how you felt before.
Yes. And it felt like, oh, this is what self-love is. But all the programming that I've had, I feel like I'm breaking it down that like, oh, you've got to be nice and you've got to be kind. And oh, if someone does that to you, well, I wouldn't do it back because then I'm just matching their energy. Like all of this is like breaking down to like, no, that's bullshit. Why should she allowed to push me out of the way, take my space, and then me just like put up with it? And the truth is, I literally could not get out of that energy or get out of my head. I really felt like people are mean, people are cruel. I don't want to live on this earth if people are so mean like this. Like I find different situations like that. And I'm like, I don't want to be in that space. I don't want to feel like a victim to this life or to mean people. And there's sometimes we have to use our voice. We have to use our body. We have to use our self-love and self-care to like take back our space and not let people shit all over us. Anyways, it feels good. So yeah, so this is something I want to ask you. So, I feel like a lot of us empaths tend to attract narcissists in our life. So I'm curious, like, why does it feel like narcissists and others with intense energy can like walk away unaffected while I'm left carrying everything? Like, are the narcissists affected at all, or are they kind of numb and they just go around taking what they want and don't really have a feeling of care, concern about other people that empaths feel so deeply?
With the narcissist, it's not that they don't care. They care so much about themselves and they care so little about others. This is what keeps us in the, oh, I don't want to be like them attitude. But and that's kind of the thing you broke. But with the narcissist, they don't feel the way we feel. The thing is, we feel so deeply what they're feeling, what everyone else next to them is feeling. We can relate to how they're feeling so intensely. And the problem with empaths is we allow how they're feeling to trump how we feel. So we're always allowing how they feel to trump our feelings because there are many of them, or the narcissist is so hollow and empty that we see their pain. So they don't know what their pain is. They don't experience their childhood trauma. They don't have any of that. They just parrot their trauma. They don't feel it when they speak to someone about it. They couldn't. And if they did, they wouldn't be narcissists. So when they're talking, even if they're doing the victim thing, we're sensing the true pain. They're not emotionally tuned into it. We are tuning into it. But to be an empowered empath means I can tune into your pain, but it doesn't mean your pain will trump me and my energy. So narcissists do not feel the way we feel. They're nowhere close to how we feel. They are trying to learn how to feel through us. Okay? They want what we have. They want to know, how does it feel to feel? You know, because you guys are feeling us, you know what our trauma is, fix it, fix it, fix it. But we can't fix it for them no matter how much we try. So that's the idea of it. So narcissists, just think of them as a different species, a different make in a sense, where they're walking around as zombies, trying to grab everything to make them feel better. And us empaths know their trauma, know how to make them feel better. But in us feeling better, that light that we ignite, like what you did in the concert where you're like, no, I'm taking my place. This is my place. Like the symbolism is insane. I'm standing my ground. I'm taking my place, regardless of how I feel her frustration. I feel her anger. I feel that she doesn't feel like she's good enough or something, so she wants to do something. I feel all that, but that's for her. And this is for me. I'm going to do what's best for me, because when I'm in high vibe, I emanate. Now, this is interesting because I see it a lot. Empaths emanate this extraordinary light vibration. It sounds opposite because vibration is sound or frequency, but it's a light vibration. So there's a certain emanation of light that comes out, which actually comforts whoever's in your vicinity, however far off that vicinity is, it doesn't matter. Everyone in that presence starts to calm down and starts to receive that light frequency. They just start to receive it. So they will feel happier than normal. They will feel more at peace than normal. It's whatever me as an empath I'm feeling, and I chose to make myself feel. So in a sense is I choose myself right now, and I need that high vibe. And the reason I need that high vibe, it makes me feel so good that I see it coming out of our pores, like it emanates through our pores like sunlight, and everyone's sensing that emotion. But when we go into poor me, it's unfair, I don't want to feel everyone's feelings, when we go into that, we're not emanating the amount of energy that we can. We're emanating still, like even if you're in your gunky, you're still shifting people's energies unconsciously, but it's not as potent as when you're like, nope, my place, nope, my ground, nope, I deserve to feel really good right now because I'm doing something for the collective.
Wow. So it truly is the biggest gift to give ourselves what we need, the self-care, the protection, the love, all of those things, because that is truly going to radiate one through us, our body. And we're so powerful that, like you said, it's like, and literally I felt like electricity. I could feel like, oh my gosh, electricity coming from my body. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, does everyone feel this? Can narcissists feel this? Or do you feel like there's a sense of maybe numbness, or can narcissists really feel deeply, but only their own pain for them, but they cannot feel and resonate with feeling for anybody else? I'm just curious.
Well, narcissists do feel that they don't feel anyone else's pain. They don't have that ability, that gift of feeling what the collective feels, feeling what that person feels. It's like think of empaths and light workers as a large spark of source, like an unconditional love of source on this planet, embodied in a body that is the opposite of unconditional love. And it's like we're constantly trying to let this body that's our responsibility be unconditionally loved. It's like the spark in us, that soul essence, is the one that is trying to unconditionally love this body and mind. So it's really, we want to keep giving it to other people, but we don't know that our mission is this specific outline and body. This ego that I have is having a very hard time because it doesn't believe it's loved unconditionally. But I'm a spark of source, of divinity, of unconditional love poured into this body to keep telling this body and this ego that I'm training, I love you unconditionally. I love you. Nope, you're going to take your space. Nope, you're going to glow. Nope, you're going to follow my lead. I'm teaching you now what unconditional love feels like because you've never felt it. And narcissist, their spark they can't hear it. It isn't there to unconditionally love them. It's overridden by the ego. It's taken over completely. So they can't feel anyone else's because they've so disassociated from their own pain, but they are extremely sensitive to the tone the person said that, the way they looked at me. Oh, how dare they think of me this way? It's a different way of sensitivity. It's a sensitivity that is completely about their ego. It's such a heightened state of an ego. I'm not saying we all don't have narcissism in us. We all do, because we all have an ego. Ego is very narcissistic. However, there's a degree, okay? There's a degree where we self-reflect as empaths. We go in and we're like, okay, was that egoic or was that spiritual? You know, am I needing this thing right now? I want to push her out. I want to take her space because she doesn't deserve it. I need to kill her and I need to teach her a lesson. Or is it, I deserve to be there and this isn't fair and I'm going to do this for me? Two different languages, same action. And you'll feel as an empath, see, this is the delights of us. We will feel the intention of the person. So I remember you kept expressing, like, if she would only say, excuse me, can I? But even if she said those words, but internally she deviously wanted that spot and didn't give a shit, you still wouldn't have backed out. So it's not really the words, it's you're feeling the essence of the person. Is their essence awake or is their ego completely taken over? So that's the beauty of it, because then you'll know how to interact and react.
Wow. It's like these super heightened senses where, like, really once you tap into it and realize what's happening and you don't doubt yourself, and you actually practice your inner trust and your inner knowing and your gifts and see what it is, then it's like no one can bullshit you. Where I feel like probably narcissists probably could be duped because they just, maybe if they're just hearing the words or whatever, but if we're feeling on this deep level, these senses, it's like, nope, like we'll know when to protect ourselves and when not to, or when to, what we need to do, because we can completely feel and sense what's truth and what's not. But we just have to know. We just have to trust ourselves, which so often I feel like as an empath, though, that's been the biggest challenge, is because I like just care about everyone else and what they need and whatever. And it's like I've abandoned myself so many times that I'm starting to realize to come back to self and to like do what I need, because that's going to be the best for me and everyone else. Like you said, it's just going to radiate from me.
The narcissist can only get a hold of an empath if an empath is in self-doubt, which a lot of empaths are. And self-doubt is a very egoic state of being. So when both egos are talking, it is so easy for the ego of the narcissist to dominate the ego of the empath, because the empath is feeling and sensing, but doesn't have concrete proof all the time. And then the words become the proof. Narcissists are great in the intellect. They're great with their words. They know when to tap into these words. They study you. They learn. They're mimickers. They mimic empaths to come to an empath and tell them the right words. Now, if an empath is in self-doubt and is consumed by it, which a lot of empaths are, a lot, including myself, where it's consuming us because we can't trust the inner dialogue we have and our inner wisdom, okay? It is so easy to fall for a narcissist. But when you're an empowered empath, when you are completely empowered, you have this conditional trust in your own inner senses and truth. The narcissist cannot come near you because they don't know what words to use, because it's not words, they're feelings. And they can't give you a feeling of truth when you're like, you're being dishonest, I can feel it. You're lying. You're putting me down. You're making me feel less of myself. I don't believe you. Like, if we can just do that and truly tap into that, there's nothing to fear anymore.
Wow. Wow. That really shows like how powerful empaths really are. And this is huge because we have to tap in and realize this, because I've been in it too. And I'm starting to finally come out of this like shell or this fog of being like, oh, I'm really powerful, and starting to. But the narcissists have pushed through the world. A lot of the narcissists are the ones running corporations, religions, like all these things. But it's pretty hollow and fragile because they're just pushing through with good words, good intellect. But to be able to tap into feeling and to have like all of it, that's what us empaths have. So if we can realize this, wow, we're unstoppable. That's cool. Okay. So I want to ask you another question. So how do I keep myself grounded in joy when it's so easy to absorb negativity from others? Like I said, I'm in this good space and all of a sudden it just dropped. Like I can go from being on cloud 9 to being at like a 0. If I get triggered with something, it's like I turn into this little child that like doesn't know what to do. So what is a way to stay grounded in joy and not just disappear in it? Or how do we come back? Is it as simple as what I did there of just like feeling that and being like, no, I don't think this is right. No, this is what I need to go in front of her, or like, help us here.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of times, because we are used to words and dialogue. So I'm seeing that words, we have to give ourselves the permission to do what you just did. So it's saying, how does this feel for me? It feels really down. I'm becoming a victim of the situation. And always repeat this, but I am an empowered empath. I am here to spread the light. How would the light like to be spread at this moment? Right? I can't dim it. I refuse to dim it. I do not allow myself to be dimmed. Okay? I need my light. And just visualize, and it really helps, visualize that there are other empaths right here in this concert, in this restaurant, in this office space that need to tap into the energy of another empath who's empowered. And that will give you that surge of energy to be like, wait a minute, what would I do differently this moment to allow my high vibe to continue? So that's something.
Oh, and so for me, it was like, I knew if I stood in that place, it would have wrecked the rest of the concert. If I stayed there, I would have been playing small. I would have allowed a bully to bully me, basically. And I don't want to do that anymore. Okay, that's really cool. Okay, so it's moment to moment, just feeling. If we notice, okay, as empaths, we're naturally just loving. We naturally just want to give and receive love. That's how I feel. I'm like, that's all I want to do. I just want to give and receive love to all the humans. And it's been challenging being around, there's a lot of mean humans out there, and they say mean things online, and they don't think about others. And it's been hard. It's been a hard pill to swallow, to realize, okay, not everyone is willing to just give and receive love. In fact, some just can't. They're too much trauma, and they're like, whatever the reason is. And I used to think, oh, if I just give them enough love, it's because, they're just wounded children in adult bodies. And if I just love them, I used to think that. But then I realized, no, there's some people that are just stuck in it. If you can't receive it, you can't receive it. And so, yeah, it's just figuring out, how can I stay tuned into the good energy around me without absorbing all the emotions that aren't mine?
Okay. So when we absorb the negative emotions around us, we are, of course, naturally translating it as negative. However, when these negative emotions come in from the outside world, it's purging out our own negative energy that we've suppressed, oppressed, not allowed ourselves to feel. That's all it's doing. It's just coming and knocking on the door and saying, can we release you, pocket of energy? There's frustration in there, and it's been in there for years, and and that's what the negative, we as empaths assume that negative energy is something we want to stay away from. But it's within those negative energies that we bump across, we bump into as we walk this life. It's like bumping, it's like shaking out of us the gunk that's inside that isn't allowing us to completely trust ourselves. So a good question to ask is, what part of me believes this to be true? So somebody will say something really horrible, a comment on a YouTube channel, right? And a part of me gets hurt by it. And then I simply ask, what part of me, because it's not all of me that believes it, there's a part of me that believes this to be true. What part of me believes it to be true? And then I'll get an answer. There's no way you can ask without getting an answer. The only thing is, do we trust the answer that we receive, right? Because then doubt comes in, like, did I hear it right? Did I not hear it? Nothing showed up, right? But if you can just be like, okay, whatever comes up, I'm just going to trust that it's true. Oh, it's the part of me that never feels seen. Oh, that's the part of me that now is feeling that I believe this person leaving me that comment. They didn't understand what I was saying. They changed it all around. That's the part of me. Okay, now I'm going to take care of that part of me. That's it. It has nothing to do with anyone else. So that's how we tune in. So the negative energy that comes is only a clearing for our vessel. Let's not forget, we came on this planet for every human vessel to be cleared with light. But every human vessel we've dressed up in is filled with gunk, ancestral lineage, history, all the fears, just gunk. So we've come in, and whenever we bump somewhere that reminds us of that fear, it comes to the surface. Oh, cleared out a little, cleared out a little. So by the time we leave this planet, we've cleared out as much as we possibly can as light workers in this one body, which will distribute to the rest of the planet. So these negative energies are only here to break us free. Narcissists don't feel that way. They don't feel the need to clear out anything. It's a propeller drive to go attack. It's a propeller drive to hurt somebody else, to do the revenge. We're doing it differently. It's a propeller to clear. All day yesterday, I was in the saddest place on planet Earth. I mean, I was in utter sadness. And I tried to get out of it, of course, because the initial egoic thing is like, okay, you have all these tools, figure out which tool, come on, you want to breathe again. And I was so tired of trying to think of a tool and doing the tools that I surrendered to sadness. Sadness keeps showing up, but I surrendered to it. I'm like, fine, I can be gunky. But the key was, can I trust that sadness is supposed to show up and I'm supposed to do nothing about it? That's the trust factor. That's the thing. When something shows up, can I trust that this is just doing what it needs to do and I have the freedom to feel it and go through it regardless? And that's how you get into the good energy again, because there's no resistance to it anymore, if this makes any sense.
Yeah. So I have a question to go with that. Are there times where you get to choose what energy field that you want to be in? Like times where it's like, oh, I got really sad at this concert or whatever, this thing that happened. How do you know the difference between okay, this is something that I just need to feel and I just need to be in it versus, okay, what are some tools to get out of it? Like for me in the concert, it was like, hey, I'm going to use a tool, which is I'm going to love myself and take care of myself. And for that is me going in front of this person and taking my space back. For you feeling sadness, it's like, do you ask yourself a question like, hey, is this something that I want to feel right now? Is it a space I want to feel this? Because it's like, do you always just let emotions fill no matter where you at? Or is there a time and a place where you're like, you know what? I don't want to feel this right now. I want to be present and not go into the stories. How do you know the difference as we're trying to figure out how to trust ourselves?
The difference is victimhood. If I feel like I'm a victim of my circumstances or of someone, then it's time for me to ignite my power. Okay? Because now I'm sucked into somebody else's energy and I'm sucked into a pattern. It's not an energy to be released. I'm sucked into a pattern. My mother's pattern, my father's pattern, my pattern in my timeline. I'm sucked into the victim pattern. I have to ask myself, am I a victim? Am I playing the victim of this situation? So you were playing the victim in that situation. This isn't fair. She just came in and you were confused about where you stood and being nice or not being nice. That was where the sadness came in. That's where the depression, the victim, it's not fair, nobody's here for me, whatever. There's a story. When there's a story, okay, that's when I have to ignite my power, because it's a story and I want to break that story. If you're feeling a feeling, sometimes these feelings come out of nowhere, sometimes they are triggered by someone, but I'm not feeling a victim. I'm simply feeling that feeling. There is no story behind it. You could come up with a million stories, but you don't know where this feeling is coming from. You don't know why. Then that is a feeling to sit with, because it needs to be released. And it doesn't mean you can't ignite your energy. You can still be high vibe and feel what needs to be felt, which is, I'm not going to play into it, but I can. So it's the victimhood, the victim story. It's a victim story. Make sense?
Oh, I like that. Yes. Okay. This is really cool. Okay. So how do I protect my heart and my energy so that my sensitivity works for me and not against me?
A lot of times, I don't know if this still works because I don't do it as often anymore, but I know a lot of my clients do it, where you just, before leaving your home, even if you're getting in your car, you just put your hands on top of your crown chakra, okay, and visualize a bubble, like you're moving your hands. So you felt that energy in the concert, you felt your energy. So now you're going to do the same. You're just going to give that to yourself, and you're going to shield and protect. I shield and protect my energy. Everything that happens today is happening for me. I'm protected from everything dark, all negativity, and whatever needs to come my way, I know it's divinely created. It's like this utter trust that if I feel anything, encounter anything, divinity is making it happen, not my ego. But you've created the bubble. So that's it really works wonders. And if you can't do this, just visualize it, because you can't do this at work. Protect
I like that. So, and I really want to, like, for these empaths, because I've heard this so many times, so many of these different chat groups and everything, they've just said, like, it just feels like a curse. They're like, I don't like it. It's so hard. So it would be fun if we could start shifting the perspective, because I know perspective shifts can change everything, and maybe seeing it as a game. Like you said, when you go out, things are just happening for us. And I'm picturing it as like, it's just smoothing. We're just being smoothed out. So there's these different situations that are going to happen. For me, I had that little example of going to the concert. And it's like, ooh, this is a chance for me to empower myself and to be able to feel how good it feels to feel empowered of me taking care of me. So it's like, wow, that was a really cool feeling that you don't get to just feel every day floating around life. So when someone comes in, if you could start seeing it as like, okay, if anything happens, I got you, girl. I got you. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to love you. I'm here to support you. If anyone tries to steamroller you or step in your way or say something that you don't agree with or feels wrong, you're going to speak up or you're going to show up for it. So it's kind of fun to look at it that way of like, okay, let's go. What's today going to bring? Rather than like, because I feel like that's normally how I live my life. Someone would do something and it's like they would say something that wasn't nice and I would just believe it. Like I'm just believing, oh, because they worded it so well, it must be true what they're saying. But especially narcissists, they spit out a lot of lies and projections. It's literally just what they're feeling. And that's all they do. And the truth is, that's what a lot of people do in the world. They're just projecting all over everyone so they don't have to feel it themselves. They have to pretend it's everyone else's problem. However, empaths just sit there and like, oh, shoot, they're right, because I did have a little bit of tone there. I did have a little, and it's like we take all the accountability for our stuff and everybody else's, and it gets really dysfunctional. So anyway.
I just got that it's so cool what you just said, because a statement we can all use is, I will not take on your perception of me and make it my new story. So it's like walking around and just understanding that everyone is going to try to give you a new story about yourself. And that story isn't always a pretty story. But I have the freedom not to take that story and make it my new story. I can say, that's your story about me, that I'm selfish, I'm self-centered, I'm insane. That's your story about me. It's up to me to decide, do I want to take that story and make it part of my story? Do I want to integrate it in my life? Because that's what happens. Like you read something, you hear something, and we believe it. Like, oh my God, maybe I am too much. I'm not sure.
but that is somebody else's story that I have the choice to adopt and build a new identity around or not. So a lot of empaths, this stance of stop is very hard to do, even in the visual. But if you try it just with your hand here, I already feel the difference of like pushing out and saying stop. It feels pretty powerful to do this, stop. Okay, so you're not allowing anyone else's story to become your story. You are free to make up your own story about yourself all the time. So maybe even if somebody's typing, you do this. If you read something, you do this. Somehow, some way, this action, I think I'm going to start doing this, is really very powerful because it feels I'm not just like this. I'm really consciously aware that anything that's going in that's going to shift my heart against me, it's shifting my heart against me. Can you imagine? Oh my God. I, I refuse to shift my own heart against me. I'm an
Ooh,
empath. I'm going to give it to myself.
ooh, I like that.
Oh, me too. I'm going to write it down so I can just.
Wow. Yeah, it's time for us empaths to take our power back because we are so powerful, so much more powerful than any of this negative energies out there. But we're not if we're believing the lies and we're believing the lies that are out there. But that's to control us. That's to keep us small. That's to be their puppet. That's for them to walk all over us, to take and to use us as basically their slaves or their, whatever. Like I'm being extreme here, but that's kind of what's happening right now. And so it's going to feel really cool and exciting when us empaths can start seeing what's happening and we can play together and we can have fun and just know how powerful we are and to have little tools to protect ourselves and to love ourselves. We're unstoppable. This is like really exciting.
Yeah, I refuse to shift my heart against me anymore. I refuse for my heart to be against me anymore. And what I just saw so clearly, like being an empowered empath does not mean that everyone has to be. We're here because the planet is insane. We're not here because everyone's happy. So of course we're going to bump into negative people all the time. And of course we're going to bump into negative energies all the time. That's okay. That's why we're here. So this whole expectation of everyone's got to be happy. No, 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 no. You know, I'm going to be happy, right? And then everyone can shift according to it. But I'm not here other than to put my feet into the planet, feel the soil under my feet, and allow myself energetically to plug into the earth and start feeding the earth love, 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 because it needs that. That's it. So I'm just saying this because it feels like a lot of times us empaths are always, oh, it's so unfair. I wish everyone was nicer and prettier, but they're not, and that's not why we came here.
I love it. So what can we do to flip the script when it feels like there's more negative energy coming in than positive? So when it feels like there's all this negative energy coming in, how do we start just feeling the positive energy and really enjoying our life?
Well, good question is, what can I tell myself this moment or do for myself in this moment that will provide me with a sense of kindness? Because that's all we ever want from others or our situation is kindness. What can I do for myself right this moment, not in the future, right this moment? I'm feeling the thing right this moment. What can I do for myself that is kind? Can I tell myself something kind? I love you, Rain. I love you, Rain. I love you, Rain. I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm sorry you're going through this. And whatever it is, can I do something kind? Go buy myself a flower, buy myself a piece of chocolate. What can I do to give kindness to me? That's the spark of it. That's the joy. Because if I'm giving it to me, see, we all forget that we are a spark of source. Okay. And that we are unconditional love. It's part of us. It's the only reason we're able to move and walk. And we're all ashamed of giving ourselves that. But the crazy thing is if I don't give it to myself, I'm not giving it to source because I am it. I have a spark of source. So if I'm going to be kind to this heart of mine, I'm giving back to source unconditional love that I'm constantly receiving. So I'm giving it back all the time. It's this rotation. It's this constant state of rotating. And really this whole don't shift my heart against me anymore. I refuse for anyone to shift my heart against me is very, very powerful. You are a spark of divinity. The plant is a spark of divinity. This mug is a spark of divinity. But I need to give that self-love. That's what self-love is. It isn't selfish. I'm loving my creator through me. I'm not loving my creator through others. It's not that I'm going to be mean to others, but I'm loving my creator. Every day I'm waking up with a breath. I'm breathing. Who's allowing me to breathe? My creator, my higher self, something larger than me. So then where does the thanks go? It has to go back in here because it's making me live this moment. So that's just the shift of self-love a little bit.
And fully trusting how powerful that is, that we are that connected to source, that some people aren't that connected to source because they can't feel it. Like the narcissist, it's a different way that they're going through life, and it's not this deep connection. And if we can know that this is what's happening, it's really incredible. And to know each feeling that we have, to honor that feeling and to feel it, because somehow, like I don't just choose to be sad. Like, I think I'm going to be sad right now. I think I'm going to be really angry. Like, it's not my ego doing this. It's literally somehow source wants me to feel it. So if I can honor that feeling and feel it with this connection, it's empowering me, and I get a feel and I get a shift, and it's helping me smooth whatever rough edges are around me that I don't need to have and feel for myself, because I'm the one feeling everything. It's really cool. Okay. Well, do you have any last nuggets that you want to share before we wrap this up, of how to enjoy being an empath, how to thrive being an empath and see the gift that it truly is and not see it as a curse anymore?
Only way an empath can enjoy being here, because it is very hard. It is not easy. The only way is to know as a fact that the reason you're here is to exist, to emanate light out of you. It means that you don't have to do anything, just your existence here. So go frolic in the fields, go swim in the sea, go take that trip, sit at home and watch Netflix. It doesn't even matter. There is nothing to put yourself down for ever, because you're not even meant to be here. You've chosen to be here. Okay? You've chosen to be here, and just your presence as a light being on this planet that is attuned to your light being is all that it needs. Even just sitting on the couch is receiving all this energy. The house and then the neighborhood and all the people are receiving your energy, even if you're doing nothing. That's it.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Well, on that note, thank you for that. That was a great last note to end on. All right, you guys, if you guys love this episode, please give us a thumbs up, a like, subscribe so you can be the first to see new episodes that come out. They come out every week. We have a freebie. Please click on that freebie in our description. We have 11 essential questions for self-discovery. We're going to be updating that here pretty soon to a new thing we're putting together right now. That's going to be amazing. But make sure before we update it, check out the 11 essential questions for self-discovery to reflect on self and to help empower you as well. That's a gift we have for you. And then please comment. We want to hear, let's see. Comment if you feel like you are, I don't know where you're at in this empathic journey of yours. Do you feel like you're an empowered empath? Do you feel like it's a curse? Do you feel like it's a blessing? And then did you get any takeaways from this? Please just connect with us. We'd love to chat with you. And then make sure to watch the next episode that we have coming. And then share this episode as well. Thank you. We'll check you on the next one.